Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I have a TideWe double hunting blind here that I want to show you today. This thing is actually really cool. I'm a huge fan. I have both of them already connected to each other. It's two individuals that are wrapped up into one. I'm going to set it up and I want to show you what sets this apart from like all the other blinds that I've tried so far. All right, there it is. I'm on a bit of a slope here, so I'm just gonna move it around a bit, get her to level out. This is so easy to set up. As a single person, it's no problem at all to set this up. I think that's so impressive. Now, I'm gonna set up the camera. Maybe I'll give you a walk around first. I'll give you a quick walk around so you can see it all, and then I'm gonna set the camera inside and we'll talk about the inside because I think the inside is the coolest part. Okay, right in the center there, you can see the zipper which connects the two of them. It comes with some individual parts that can close off either one, so you can just make these two individuals if that's more useful to you, or you can double up if you need more space or you got a hunting buddy with you and you both want a proper amount of space. These can be zippered together, and it took me like 1 minute probably to get those zippered up all the way around. Zippers are high quality, and they seem to be water repellent as well. Haven't leaked on me actually, which is interesting. Maybe in a downpour they would, but haven't so far. You can see the tops of them are going to be a much more resilient material, probably more water shedding capability than you're going to see quite as much on the sides. But on the sides there is going to be one panel that's different from the others, which is more of a solid panel, and you have a couple windows on each side as well. Let's pop in there and take a closer look at this material. Okay, so you can see obviously on this side, I got the sun coming through over there. I have this on the closed off side. And on the closed off side, it's not going to let a lot of light in unless you choose to move down on these right here. And these are really nice and quiet. They're not zippers, they just slide, and they're totally silent if you do it the right way. Very cool design. But then when we go around this way, you can actually see this material is kind of like a one-sided type material. There's another door on that side. There's windows if I want to slip them down, just like the other side. But you can see all the way through. I mean, you could shoot through this. You could shoot an arrow through it, I suppose, if you wanted to, but you'd probably ruin your material. You let some air in. I got a nice breeze going right now. Check that out. This is super cool. I've had times before where in a previous blind, not from TideWe, from another company, I had a deer coming up from the left of me, and I didn't have all my windows open in that particular hunting session, and it snuck right up on me because I was looking this direction on the blind that I had, and it came up from over here. But what you can see here is I can open a window if I want to from the rear and have a peek out if I really need that. But I have a nice, I would say 270 degree at least angle here of viewing, and they can't see me. That's the crazy thing about this. They can't see through it. You are totally camoed up, and they will not be able to see you inside of this shelter, inside of this blind, unless you open this up and you're doing a lot of movement. But even then, most of my body is concealed inside of here. Really cool. I can just point this up. I have a lot of headspace. I can sit in a normal chair. I'm 6'5", and I can be totally comfortable inside of this thing. Very cool and incredibly practical. This has got to be the best design for a material for a hunting blind that there is out there. All right, I'm filming from back here for a reason. I want to talk through a couple of things with this, and I also want to block myself from the sun. That's one more benefit of having something like this. It does block me from direct sunlight. I know you folks in the south, hunting season, deer hunting season, whitetail, well, I suppose you got muleys and whitetail and all that. That season is still pretty warm for you, so there's some sun blockage here. The winter time, or fall time at least, is our concern, and I want to start with the very top. So the strength of the rods seems appropriate. You don't want them too weak where they just pop out real easy, because then they also implode easily if you have any snow load at all, or too much water or anything like that. The really weak ones out there, the ultralight ones, they're not strong enough to hold up for Minnesota snow. And during whitetail season, which is when I would use something like this the most, in whitetail season, we've been known to get snow, and sometimes a lot of snow in Minnesota, even in that early season. And so you need to be able to hold some snow load here and have some water resistance. It doesn't have to be totally waterproof, just water resistance. You could always add waterproofing if you really felt that was necessary. But this seems to be adequate for the things I would use it for. And it would definitely hold out some snow and wind and keep the elements off of me and keep me comfortable inside of here while not limiting me, obviously, from seeing about a 270-degree angle from where I'm at right now, 360 if I open the window. So a couple things for a guy like me that are going to be a big deal. I'm going to start with probably the material itself. The material being one directional is huge. That is such a game changer when it comes to blinds. In the past, I've had deer walk in from that direction before, and I couldn't see them because it was closed off on a different kind of blind. It wasn't a TideWe blind. So that's just a thing you always have to worry about, so you open your windows. But if you open your windows, then they can see you. And some critters have really good vision. They can see you. And if you're too close, you just can't do it. So you're probably going to hear something, all of a sudden realize it's really close with a closed off blind, and you're not going to be able to act. With this one, I can see directly where things are coming from, and I can butt this up against a place where critters don't come from. I can keep my back to the swamp where it's pretty much an impenetrable area where the bucks aren't going to go. And I can open the rest of this up to a place that I know is a high traffic area, and then I can even prepare by pulling these down. And this material being here is very, very good because I don't have to have it all the way up. I can just see them, I can spot them, I can count points and see if it's something I want to take, and then lift it up quietly. And I just want to reiterate, these move really, really smoothly. It's a great design. This right here, which I've not owned before, having a slider instead of Velcro, which is noisy. Some types of elastic have broken on me on other blinds, and then zippers are just loud in general. If I'm taking a close shot, especially if you're with bow, being able to slide this down and slide this up and open just a parcel here, if I wanted to, that's really neat. And there's plenty of room if I wanted to get down and draw a bow from here, or if I want to set up a tripod and be able to shoot and move. I can keep myself concealed for a good amount of time until I'm in position. I can be aiming at the deer and know exactly where it is and just give this a bump and take my shot. Minimal movements, minimal sound, very, very well thought through. I think this is an excellent design, and I think every blind is going to be going to this. I think this is the future of blinds, actually. So there's just a little piece of elastic built into this, but that's not what it's relying on. It's actually a plastic piece on a rib inside. So that's a great idea. I think that's something I would use, guys like me would use and favor above a zipper blind. The next thing I'm going to say is the ability to zip this off into one piece or two pieces. If you want to stay a little more lightweight and you just don't need a lot, you don't have a dog with you, a backpack, a bow, or anything bigger, not a big long gun. If you're using a brush gun like I use a lot of times, then you could get away with a single piece, and that's going to do fine. I will say I'm such a fan of the attachment and the fact that I can put the two together. Whether I want to have two people in here, if you want to have a dog in here, set up a camera, which is really, really cool. I could set up a camera and film my hunt. Typically, when I'm hunting in a single blind, there's just not that much space. So setting up a camera gets to be kind of tricky. But with this, it's actually incredibly easy. I have an entire parcel here, which is set up for all my gear, my food. I could set up a table in here, be quite comfortable, a large sized chair. I don't have to use the hunting stool I'm sitting on right now. And I could fit all of this in here with my camera, filming what I'm shooting at. And I can, again, because of the see-through pattern, I can film the deer. I can get the camera on and then shoot. And if I really needed to, I could actually just film right through it if that was necessary. And I didn't want to spook anything. So cool. It's just hard for me to get over how neat that is, that it's so one directional. Again, I want to make sure it's clear when you're out there, you can't see in here. A couple more features to point out is this is one of the zippers that you're going to find on this, and it's your door. There's 2 doors because of the way that I've got it set up right now, especially. So these are good quality zippers, and if you didn't really want to have to zip the whole thing, you probably could zip just a corner of this and it'll stay closed for the most part, so that's not a problem. Then there's a big window behind me, and this window is a hook and elastic window right here, and you could just open part of it like that. If you needed to take a shot and you wanted to maintain as much coverage as you can for visibility, or you don't want to be seen, you can shoot through that much. Sorry about that, my camera overheated for a moment. So again, this is a good design. I've had a poor quality blind in the past from a different company that had poor quality elastic and cheap little hooks. And since in hunting I might be doing things one-handed, I might have a rifle in one hand or a bow, and just being able to reach up and secure a hook without fighting it or trying to find it, you know, that's basically the issue with the other ones, is they don't work all that well, and you can't do them one-handed. This I can do one-handed, and it's completely fine, and I can still see through it. So there's just very few limitations here. If I really needed to, again, if I want to take a shot at my house cat over there, I can open this up and still get an angle out there. Pretty impressed with the durability aspect of the material. It really does seem like an extra thick material. So I think this is going to hold up a good long time, even in the sun or in the elements of the winter, that kind of thing. I should talk about this. So it does come with some stakes, and just your kind of average black metal stake or aluminum stake, probably steel, hopefully steel, I don't know. And then it's going to come with a bunch of line as well for rigging this up. And I have had a blind, it was actually a tent that was kind of like this right here, and that tent was, yeah, it was actually very similar to this, was left out in like a 30-mile-an-hour wind storm. And the reason that it stayed up, even though trees were getting knocked down and everything was just pretty wild that day, the reason it stayed up is because I had anchors like this, and I angled them in at every single corner of the tent. I didn't waste any of them. I used them all, and I didn't go straight down in. I put them in an angle and buried them in there deep. And then I use these on every package I get, any tent that's like this with a pop-out design. I always use the cordage, and I'm going to use the cordage to anchor out at an angle from the exteriors. And these have exterior angle anchoring points on every side. I'm going to show you that in a second, but I'm going to highly recommend use this if you're going to set it up for hunting like I will for a couple days at a time. I don't want to find it blown over, blown away, or getting crunched by something. I want it to stay put. And so ultimately, I'm pretty much, every time I get it set up, I'm going to use the anchors and some cordage, and it's worth the time so that my blind doesn't get ripped or shredded or just blow away on me. One more thing worth noting is it does have these Velcro loop securing pieces here, so that on each of the legs you can keep it secured to that so it's not blowing off too wildly in the wind or anything. And I highly suggest that you use these Velcro loops to secure your legs to the mesh fabric itself. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about. Here's one of those anchor points that's got a nice metal hook on it as well as a fabric loop. I grab that line and I get a good bite on this, loop it through, and the anchor point at a 45-degree angle out from here, and support this, or secure this rather, to the ground from that metal anchor all the way down. I don't even use these loops to do it. I go right to the metal, to the ground, and it's going to keep this thing from getting too much uplift. And usually when I'm walking away, I'm going to close up the exterior so that not too much wind or elements or birds actually get inside of the blind like that. And it still has a partial water shedding capability. It's not going to be totally waterproof, as you can tell, but it will shed some water as it's coming down, keep some debris out of there or bugs and whatnot. That's another thing that's been super useful about this, is even though it's porous and I can see through it, the bugs are not seeming to find a way in there. And in Minnesota, the bugs are terrible. So one more win for this, and you can see a little bit of that fabric, cannot see through it. Just so impressed at the capability to produce something that's dense, it's thick like this, but just that porous material allows you to see out, but not in it's a very good veil pattern for the areas that I'm going to hunt in. So this will give you a little feel for the height and what that is going to look like. Something towards the top here that I thought was kind of cool is there's a little bit of a webbing that runs through. I don't know specifically what I will use that for, but you could run an orange bandana through if you need to mark it, or you just want to be able to find it a little easier, something to attach to there. Or if there's another kind of camo that you wanted to lace through, I don't know, something like that. Maybe grass, if you actually wanted to put real grass stems through here, that's maybe something you could do depending on the kind of hunting you're doing. Your kids will love it. Hey kids, are you in there? Are you in there? You pull it down. Say hi, Caleb.
Hi.
Your kids will love the blinds. These are super fun for them. Just another playhouse. But a pretty effective blind overall. Obviously you couldn't see them in there very well, and a deer is not going to see them. Other critters are not going to see them. I think what we're going to do next is I'm going to just show you what it looks like to unzip it, and I'll attach the other panel for just a display of a single panel, or a single side of it rather. You can get a feel for that. But other than that, I don't have a lot more that I'm going to share other than I get behind it. I like it. I think it's good quality, and I plan on using it myself for multiple hunts in the future. Maybe even coyote hunting. This would be a really cool outfit to sit in with a friend and keep some of the snow and wind off of us, as well as not letting those things see us, because they are just so sensitive in my area. They're very tricky, very smart, and something like this would really prevent them from seeing us. But yeah, I'll go ahead and unzip it and show you what that looks like to throw on the other quarter panel wall.
I got that, and it's telescope, and I got a motorcycle, I got a bat, and I got mat, and I got stop bat, and I got this mat. Bats, we get a sub bat, and we got that short. And we get them, and we stop bat, and we get magazine, and we make a bike, and my shop bat, and get bat, and get.
All right, now I've got one of those wall panels. Go ahead and pop this one out. So it's a little easier actually when it's attached, but if you just hold it like this, not too difficult. Get the zipper lined up here. So the main thing is just to push it down into place and start it off well, and it zips really easily after that. These are pretty good zippers actually. All right, well, I am stoked about this. This is a great camo pattern. It's really durable. It seems like something that's going to blend into my backgrounds. Actually, fall, winter, spring, summer, I have places on the property where I get to hunt. I have places where this will blend in well, where there are deer. And so I think this is going to fit in with most people's patterns. But if this camo pattern isn't exactly what you were looking for, I'm going to tell you to go on the website, because you can find some other camo patterns that might blend better for your area, your neck of the woods where you're going to be hunting. And that's the whole point. You know, the more I look at this, the more I realize I have like a few uses that you could have for something like this. If you were to peg it out, stake it down, you could use this with the door off if you just needed sunshade for things, or a little blockade. Maybe you have a beach or something like that where you want to bring this to and have a little shaded area. With having that door off, this allows you to do that and then still open it up in a way. I've actually seen people charge quite a bit of money for beach shades that are just like this, except for it's missing one panel. So I guess the idea is this is very versatile. Yeah. Get that? No, can you go get that for him?